Welcome.
Episode 25.
25.
Here on my daddy's boat, like some goofball rich kid. Yeah. Yeah.
And what was this lake
Just
called?
balling out of control, man.
It's like Alcuin or what is the lake called?
Algonquin.
Sounds like like some sort of.
No, I'm developing a speech impediment. Yeah.
But yeah, we're out here and beautiful day.
Yeah.
It's good.
Good temperature. I'm glad it's not like I was looking at it. It's like 70. It feels great. Glad it's not.
Here, scoot over a little bit.
Oh.
You're in the shadows. You look like Voldemort or something.
Look like
shadows.
Yeah. But it's beautiful day.
Beautiful day in the
Beautiful
neighborhood. Like Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I think he was pretty cool. Did you ever watch Mr. Rogers?
No.
Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood?
Mm-mm.
No, it's like, yeah, it was cool. I can't really tell you much about it.
Cool story, man.
Well, thank you. No, like he was like, he was on, was it PBS network?
Okay, now maybe I have.
And he would like teach kids like little lessons and stuff.
Little lessons
about life and stuff, whatnot. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Anyways, but I watched a couple of his episodes when I was younger. I was really only watching it because Ninja Turtles was up next.
Ninja Turtles.
I had to get up really early on a Saturday morning, so like my parents wouldn't see.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had to sneak downstairs, watch it before church.
Naughty Christian boy.
That's right. But anyways, yeah. So how you been? How was your week last week?
Yeah, it was okay except for yesterday.
Yeah, Friday.
Fun stuff. Yeah, but it's the weekend, Memorial Weekend. All that's
Behind us now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just got stuck at a dock. Thought I was gonna get out at noon, and ended up sitting there for like 3 or 4 hours. Truck broke down. Had to switch trucks, and then wait 3 or 4 hours, and then then I got back to the shop to switch trucks again because they put me in a different truck. So I had to pull all my stuff out of there, put in that one, and then drive back and then put it all that stuff in my car. Yeah.
Lovely.
Joyous. Yes.
Yeah, I only had to do that once with when because I had a 2019. No, you have a 2019. I had a 2020 Freightliner Cascadia, and then after I'd been there for a while, they gave me a 2024 Freightliner Cascadia, and I had to transfer all my stuff over. It was a pain in the butt. The worst part about it was getting my fridge freezer combo from my old truck to my new truck by myself. Brutal.
Yeah, I thought I was gonna have to do that, but luckily, well, he's got a fridge. I haven't asked.
You're like,
but I'm not moving your fridge out of there.
Right. You're like, hey.
Yeah. But dude, that truck, like, he's like must be like a heavy smoker.
Oh, really? Pretty brutal in there.
I now understand why people don't like vehicles that there was a heavy previous smoker. It's like almost like a putrid.
Yeah, it's
smoker smell.
Yeah,
it's awful.
Well, but the funny thing is like I like the smell of cigarettes. But yeah, once it's set in, I don't appreciate that smell. Like once it's actually set into everything, and it's that's not a good smell.
No,
it's kind of gross.
Actually, this is the perfect angle, almost.
Yeah,
it's like halfway.
Sure.
Or the sun is like, it's not completely in my eyes, but
right.
Oh well.
Yeah, we were fighting about that earlier.
We'll see how long this lasts.
Right. But yeah. Yeah, it's nice out here.
Yeah.
Good to relax a little bit. Gonna be headed to Cedar Point on Monday. and
Freaking awesome.
all day Tuesday. That's gonna be nice. There's nothing better than
You offered the whole week?
for the whole week.
Heck yeah.
Well, the way they do it with my company is interesting. Is that you have a week's vacation, but you're required to take it all at once. So I can't take a couple days here and then a couple days there, which I don't really like. I mean, I don't really understand why. Like, what's the reasoning behind that? You know, like, because like, why not just let me like take a couple weekends where I take a long weekend?
Probably scheduling.
Well, yeah, scheduling, but like, how hard is that?
That's weird. Honestly, my
Schedule me
company
for a
sounds way cooler than yours.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, probably, actually, probably
It
is.
really, like...
Although you're like the whole like paperwork stuff that you have to deal with that you've told me about, like that doesn't sound as appealing. Like,
it's really not bad.
no.
It's very minuscule. Like, I mean, yeah, it takes a little...
Because you had to like write down the stops you make, or at least you had to do that in local.
Well, you just write the time you arrive and write the
Oh,
time
in
that
and
you
out. I have
leave.
to do that too, actually.
Yeah, and then like, so like if I go to a cat scale to get weighed,
Yeah.
I gotta like submit that in like this orange little folder, right? Like my truck number, my driver ID number, and just information, and
Right.
then turn that in. Which is kind of annoying, which you don't have to do, but
No.
it's really not that big of a deal. Like,
That's good.
I don't have to go to a cat scale most of the times.
Yeah, which I feel like you should.
I have like,
you haven't had an issue yet, but I feel like there's a good possibility that you will at some point.
no,
But you do weigh sometimes.
I
when
do
you feel
weigh
like it's
if I
at the-
feel, yeah, if it's like, I don't.
Those of you guys
Yeah.
that don't know, we're basically talking about semi trucks and scaling out after we pick up a load, because you can't have more than 80,000 pounds total. You can't have more than 34,000 pounds on your drives and your trailer axle, and you can't have more than 12,000 on your steer axle. So that's what we're talking about. So if you get a load that's around 48,000 pounds, it's like, you know, the danger of you being over on one of those axles could be a thing.
Yeah,
Could be a problem for weigh stations.
yeah. I really like where I'm only getting nervous if it's like 43,000 pounds.
Right.
That's even 45, and if I can see the load,
Right.
if I can see the load, I'm like, and it's 45.
you can kind of see
and I
where
can
they've set the pallets.
Because if I have the PSI gauge on my drives, you can't have over 64 PSI.
Yep.
Well, I weighed my truck when it was below 64 PSI with like a 67 something thousand pound load.
Yeah.
And it like when I went over the cat scale, I was over on my trailer, or no, actually right on, exactly 34,000 pounds,
right.
And I was at like 62 psi on the trailer, or on the drives, and I slid it back, or
You were at what now?
I
the
was
drives?
at 62 psi.
Oh, 62 PSI. Okay.
So
yeah.
I changed it. I slid my tandems
Throw a little bit more weight on your drives.
on my drives.
So
yeah,
slide it back.
slightly back, and it was 64 psi.
Right. Perfect. Right. Yeah.
And I went on the cat scale, and it like I had like a couple hundred pounds under on my drives.
Oh, okay. Right. So you're still good.
So I was still good.
Yeah.
So that gives me information. I've got a reference. So if you reference it, you kind of get a understanding. But like with you last week when I got that water load.
Yeah. From Nestle.
Yeah, which I'm
Stanford,
glad.
Michigan.
I'm really glad we talked on the phone, because I was thinking I was fine, which I was fine. I actually had it perfect.
Right.
But my two tanks were like, I think I had a quarter of a tank
left.
and each gallon of diesel fuel is
7 pounds.
7.1 pounds.
Yeah.
And if I had filled up completely, even though I was fine then, I mean, it could have been like
potentially a little bit over.
Like, yeah,
100 pounds over on the drives, maybe.
Yeah. Well, not on. Yeah, on the drives. Could have been the drives. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Like then, I took that information and I saw I went in and weighed, and I had set it up fine.
Yeah.
But if I had fueled up, if I hadn't weighed and then I fueled up, I would have been over. I still probably would have been fine, because by the time I got to the weigh station in Indiana, I was in north of Grand Rapids, like an hour.
Yep.
And I would have burned off the fuel, but still.
Right.
I don't want to be overweight at all, just in case, because you can always get pulled over by a DOT officer. But how would they check the weight?
They have these portable scales.
What?
Yeah, that they just flap out onto the ground.
Villains always find a way.
That's true. Them state boys. Gotta watch out for them.
How can we get these guys?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Which I'm so glad that safety week is over with.
Dude. Yeah, me too. But I didn't see like anything going on. Anything out of normal.
I felt like there's a little bit more trucks pulled over than normal, but it wasn't crazy. You know?
Nothing. I was like expecting like a whole
warfare. Yeah.
The
thing is, I just don't think they have the personnel to enforce what they're trying to enforce.
Well, with the whole
it's more of a scare
defund the police thing, there's way less police officers.
It's true.
So
it's true. Yeah. Yeah. I'm actually.
I think is horrible, because like as annoying as like power tripping human beings who they get a little bit of power and abuse it.
Yeah.
Police officers, be thankful. I mean, imagine just not having them around.
Right.
Like not having that. You got some individuals that are like, dang it, I'm gonna get in trouble for this. Like those people are gonna go and do some crazy stuff, and you don't want that.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I was listening to Flagrant 2 podcast with Andrew Schultz.
Yeah.
And I wish I could remember the name right off the top of my head, but he had a guest on that's he's an anarchist. And
I think I know who you're talking about.
It's possible you do.
I'm pretty 99% sure I do.
Yeah. Well, he was on there and he was talking about it, and it really honestly makes a lot of sense. He's basically saying that like everything that we have right now that's not really touched by the government, or touched by the government in the very least amount possible, does really, really well. And he's saying if we could privatize security, that would be like the thing that the government is supposed to take care of all the time.
Decentralization.
And he says, if you think about it, he says these bars, let's say, he says, somebody's acting rowdy, they kick them out, right?
Yep.
And he says, he said, if you look at bars across America, the incident of crime at those bars is actually far lower than what you have like in the subway at like
Makes
New York.
Sense.
And he said because like we just don't have, it's either we don't have the resources or they're applied inappropriately, which I think is that's the latter.
Highly deficient.
Yeah.
Inefficient. Sorry.
Yeah. It is. It's silly. So I mean, and I think there's the other thing he brought up, because Andrew Schultz was given the counterpoint, which was he's like the main thing that everybody thinks of when they think of anarchy, or not necessarily. Like anarchy in America, which or a very small government or a non-existent government, would be that you would see an upsurge in violence, upsurge in looting, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And he says, but we already have that.
Yep.
And he's like, so it's not a question of whether there's going to be murders or robberies or whatever. We already have that.
Yeah.
So the question is how much. And he said, my argument is that there's going to be less. And I can kind of see that.
Decentralizes is I've heard this a lot, and on Ray Dalio.
Oh, Ray Dalio is amazing.
He was talking about decentralization on Tom Bailu.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, basically, it was about to get heavy.
Okay, we're going in.
We're going in. Basically, the rate at where we're going in the United States is we're if you look at empires in history, we're at the tail end of a failed system.
Yeah.
Failed state.
Yeah. Kind of like the Roman Empire.
Yeah, like the Roman Empire. I mean, I'm not like trying to be anyway, but like the reason why they fell is because invaders came in and
Right, the Goths.
took them over. Was it? Was it?
Yeah, there's the Goths and the Viz, I think, or the something.
It's
in the
not
Goths.
Byzantines.
No,
Because the Roman Empire became the Byzantines for a while, so they held on for a long time.
But it was the Goths. There was yeah, because there was because remember
The barbarians.
yeah, well, it's the barbarians, but
Yeah.
like the if you watch the movie Gladiator, the people that Decimus Maximus, I think.
Decimus Max.
He was fighting against in that movie was the Goths, I believe. And anyways, but they just slowly took little chunks of the empire apart
over time.
Not because the empire wasn't strong.
Yeah.
Militaristically.
Oh.
Yeah, don't do that.
Don't do that.
Well, okay. You can do that.
You can do that.
Yeah, but the reason is because the political structure was just falling apart.
Yep.
And you had all these different small groups of power that were infighting within Rome, and so then that caused the Goths to be able to slowly come and take little chunks and little pieces out of the Roman Empire, and then they just slowly collapse over time.
It's kind of funny because I'm trying to think geographically where the Goths came from, because it's not Britain, right? It's not England. England is I'm more familiar with like the Gauls and all that. The Goths is kind of a blank. Like they came in from where? I thought it was like the Mongols.
It definitely is that I think towards the Mongol Empire, I think.
Yeah.
But they had a piece of that territory. I'm just not that great at geography, to be honest.
Yeah. So it's interesting. But yeah, anyways, long
Detour.
Yeah. I don't know why that was hard.
Red herring.
Yeah.
No, I mean not really, but we were talking about Ray Dalio and basically the kind of the end of the United States Empire.
Yeah, and it's like, for me, it's like I'm aware of all this information.
Yeah.
And I intuitively know it's true, but it doesn't feel true. Right. It doesn't feel real at all. Like in my mind, I can't imagine things changing drastically. Right. And that's part of living in a world where you don't see how things have existed for as far as we know. If you look back in history, like we're like domesticated. We're super domesticated.
Yeah, we're like the Chihuahuas.
We don't know what hard is.
We're Chihuahuas.
In a sense, we suffer in other ways that people didn't have in the past.
Yeah.
So it's not being like, oh, we're a bunch of wimps. Like we suffer like a lot of it is psychologically, because the way that we live now is not how we have lived in the past.
Right.
And biologically, we're just not really meant to live like this. Like you get satisfaction when you work super hard physically. Like yes, things were complicated, but they weren't as complicated intellectually. Now it's everything is intellectual pretty much. Yeah, you can work hard and everything, but everything is like, you gotta think really hard. And it takes, unless you're like really smart and you just pick things up and see the way that things are. Like for me, I'm not even, I don't think I'm even close to where I should be or want to be.
Sure.
Like, because I see things like pretty realistically. Like before, like if you took me back when I was like I think 23. Yeah. 23.
Yeah.
Freaking blind. Like just naive.
Yeah.
Not understanding
Doesn't understand
anything.
much of the world at that point.
Yeah. Don't understand what can happen. Mm-hmm. It's like when a kid is like trying to pet an aggressive dog and it bites you in the hand.
That's how you were relative to life?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, not really. I'm not saying I was like that naive. I had intuition, but I never got in trouble really. Like I figured things out, but it was like more instinctual.
Right.
And like, yeah, there's naivety. I've said some pretty crazy, funny things, and I probably deserve to get punched in the face. Like,
right.
Like for instance, when I was like 17 years old, remember, like we were like in a conversation, like someday I'm gonna hire you, or like I'll be your boss or something. It's just arrogant, like stupid. Yeah. And I said the same thing to my buddy, like we're like family now. He's like I told him, like, and this dude's like insanely good at what he does. Like, probably one of the top mechanics. Like out there. Right. Maybe not like dealing with metal and stuff. Like he fixes heavy equipment that's like mangled. Right. And like makes it whole again. It's insanely difficult. I don't know of really anything that's that difficult. I mean, he's got like not carpal tunnel, like when vibration happens all the time. Yeah, not carpal tunnel.
Well, I don't know. I mean, carpal
like
tunnel,
arthritis.
Carpal tunnel would be like overuse, potentially of a joint, and it. Yeah.
I know there's a lot of other things that have like you can get that from, but it's brutal work, like really brutal, like just brute strength. But anyways, I told him, like, I would be his boss one day too. It's like it was just arrogant. Anyways,
way to go, Jacob.
Yes, just an awesome person. Naive.
Well, but it's. I don't think it came from probably a bad place. It was just coming from a place where you're just like, you were actually in that case, even though you were naive, you were actually trying to give them a compliment. Mm-hmm. You just didn't know how it came across, probably.
Yeah, it was insulting. It's like a son that makes a lot of money and tries to like help his dad out. Right. And when he's like 15 years old. Right.
Right. Here you go. Here's $1, Dad. I hope that helps the mortgage.
I'm not going to do that. It's like, it's insulting because it's like you've got a, like, imagine this. You got a loving dad that takes care, like, that maybe didn't like finish high school or whatever, didn't go to college or anything. Yep. And genuine dude, but he just hasn't made a lot of money. He's just dedicated. He loves his family and does everything he can to take care of them. And then he has dignity and pride, and then his son is like making a ton of money, and then offers to fix something, or pay for something to be fixed. It can be insulting. Yeah, but that's from an episode on young Sheldon.
Oh, on Young Sheldon. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I love that show.
Yeah, but I don't think whether it was the guy that you're talking about that straightens metal, or like when you said that to me, I think you were actually sitting there, you were in your mind, you were thinking, this person's actually fairly smart. I'd like to have them work for me. Yeah. And you told them that as a hey, kudos to you. You could work for me.
Yeah.
And then you just didn't think about how it actually
Insulting.
came across.
Like a 18-year-old kid talking to a 28-year-old or whatever.
Right.
Telling him,
you can work for me.
You can work for me. And it's like, I mean, yeah. It can be insulting. Kind of funny.
Yeah. It would be worse if you were like, eventually I'd like to give you the opportunity to potentially work for me. You'd have to take some tests.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be worse. But yeah. No, yeah, that's the thing is, I think, too, it's like you have like that naivety when you're younger. I know I did too as well. Mm-hmm. And then it's like as you get older, you start to understand the world a little bit better. And then either you keep that understanding, or I do feel like, and this is just, intuitive to me, I don't, but that eventually you either, you maybe get really good at what you do, maybe you start a business or whatever, and you keep that humbleness about you, or some people alternatively don't. And then they get that overconfidence again, mm-hmm. and then they start like insulting people as well. And I feel like that's really where we're at in the United States, is that we've been around for so long and we've accomplished so much, and we, instead of keeping that humbleness about us, we've mm-hmm. gotten to the point where we're now overconfident.
Sorry, my mind's like, way to bring it back, bro. Good job. Good job. We're getting better.
Definitely. But yeah, like, I think with just the overconfident, I feel like we don't necessarily have as much of that hunger as we used to. But then, my critical mind actually thinks about, is that actually as real as it sounds? Like, when we listen to these people, whether it's Tom Bailu, great podcaster, started Quest, not Quest Diagnostics, sorry, that's a totally different company, but Quest nutrition bars, sold it for $1 billion.
That's Tom Bailu?
That's Tom Bailu.
Oh.
If you go
Dude, that's funny, because I listened to his story a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I've listened to him, but I never made that connection.
Yeah, if you go to like gas stations, truck stops, and you look at like the protein bar section, you'll see Quest. That's him.
Really?
Now he doesn't own it anymore. He sold it, mm-hmm. but that's what he came up with. But yeah, whether it's Tom Bailu or like Gary Vaynerchuk or Joe Rogan or mm-hmm. any of these people, it's like the way they paint the picture of America, is that actually a true picture, or is it not as glim or dark as it sounds? Are we actually at the point where we're kind of Roman-esque empire downfall stage, or are we not? And that's really, I think everybody should check out Ray Dalio, this guy that you were listening to, Tom Bailu and him talking. Everybody should check out Ray Dalio because he has a lot of information on this. He started Bridgewater, which was like, I think it's the biggest hedge fund in the world, and I think he said something like, I forget, but I think it was like 30 or 40% chance of a civil war here in the next like 5 years. 35
to 40% chance of China, the United States going to war with China.
Okay. Did he mention civil war?
Civil war.
What was the
I don't
odds on that?
I don't think he set an odds.
Okay. But he did see it as a possibility.
It's basically you're seeing very indicative things. If you look at history,
yep.
Like he was talking about politicians. There were like, I don't know where he got the survey, but he said like 50% of like politicians wouldn't be sad or bummed that one of the opposing political parties got killed, and they would not at all want their kids to be in a relationship, period. Like, wow. Like, and like basically,
you're saying, like a Republican's kid being in a relationship with a Democrat.
They'd be appalled, like horrified, like I reject my child.
Yeah, like Romeo and Juliet style, like, you have this like tribal tribal mentality.
Yeah.
That's sad.
I encourage people to listen to that. That's a loud boat.
We apologize. We're out on a beautiful lake today, and there's some beautiful other boaters out there that are
Enjoying themselves.
Screaming by.
That's obnoxious. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, how dare they?
It sounds
Don't
good.
they know we're
enjoy the sound?
Don't they know we're recording a podcast here?
Yeah.
What the fuck? What the deuce? What the deuce?
Dude, good job not swearing.
Thank you. I tried.
Those awkward, cheesy. Just kidding.
What
I
the
love
deuce? I took that from Stewie from South Park.
Stewie.
What the deuce?
With the deuce.
But yeah, like, you know, I don't know. Like, it is crazy to think that, you know, potentially we could be in a civil war someday.
Yeah.
Or at war with China. Although I don't think China necessarily, at least their mentality is not, they don't want that all and out warfare, boots on the ground type of war. They want to, I think, more compete on a economic basis. And I think they want to just kind of lull Americans into just say, hey, it's okay, take second place. It's okay. We got this. Don't worry about it.
The thing is, it's Russia with Ukraine.
Oh, that whole situation? What about
with Taiwan? China and Taiwan.
Well, yeah, definitely China wants to take Taiwan.
They
That's
want
for
Taiwan,
sure.
and I believe it's by 2030
Yeah.
is their deadline of when they want to incorporate Taiwan. They already took, I'm drawing a blank on that country. I know the history of it, but for some reason names. Britain had control over this state in country in China and for like 100 years, and the timeline ended like 5 years, or I don't know how long it was, but then they that's just got incorporated back into China after the 100 years, and they fought, or they not fought, but there was a lot of resistance or whatever, but it ended up getting taken back by China.
Right.
So,
I think I know what you're talking about,
yeah.
but I the name escapes me as well.
Yeah.
Babe, what's like Beijing? Is it Beijing?
I was thinking Beijing, but I don't think it's Beijing. That used to be incorporated in, Britain had control over it, and then the 100-year-long,
Well, didn't they recently? Beijing recently tried to secede from China, like a year and a half or 2 years ago, maybe. Does that ring a bell? No.
No.
Or
Anyways, we'll move on.
Bangkok.
It's not Bangkok. No.
We're ignorant.
Ignorant.
People. No, just
But
kidding.
anywho, basically the major thing is so Taiwan manufactures. I want to say it's not chips. It's the. I just literally had a post about this the other day on Facebook. Transistors.
Oh, okay.
Transistors. So they're a major producer of transistors.
Okay.
And by the way, NVIDIA,
Yeah.
they're very close. They're incorporated, or they have a strong they're reliant on Taiwan's transistors. By the way.
Okay.
So
Makes sense.
And I put this.
So they probably really want to protect that asset.
You want to protect it, but what do you
work
do with China? So China, well, and the chips and everything. It's not like the complete chip, but it's like a part of the chip that gets transferred from Taiwan to the United States, and then
Factories here
we
make
do
the final
stuff,
product.
make the final product for our weapon systems,
That's scary.
and that's our weak link. And it's like a really complex process, and but it's expensive, and it would cost a lot for it to be done here instead of there. And they, interestingly enough, they knew that this was going to be super valuable, and that's why Taiwan did it in the first place, to get protection so they wouldn't get taken over from China. It's like actually mind-blowingly brilliant, like what the Taiwanese did. It's like being a savant or something.
Right. So basically, they set up this process in which they do the first initial steps, and they build a component that's necessary for the chips that we use in America for militaristic pursuits. And then what they did all that on purpose, or at least they kind of implicitly kind of cajoled people in America, maybe around the world, to do that. And then they did that all in the pursuit and purpose of not being taken over by China, because they know,
make money.
And to make money, of course.
Yeah.
But then they know that at least America has a high interest in keeping Taiwan separate from China as far as global security.
Yeah, at least like
in favor
the
of
way
the United States.
I've listened to it, that's a very well laid out explanation. Yeah, it's so basically, so we're all our chips and everything are like coming from this little island.
Yep.
Or island country, and it's like in the United States interest. Now we're building them in India, and in the transistors plants are in India.
Yeah.
In the United States, there's
We should be.
there's buildings and stuff coming in. Actually, my cousin works for making they're called some weird word. Anyways, he makes like these. They're like these discs, I guess.
Okay.
And I guess they're little microchips, but it's like a disc, and then they like break them apart.
Oh,
And
interesting.
there's like tons and tons of them on them. But down there, they're making, like, in a year or two, they're gonna have a finished factory that'll be able to make them even bigger. So they're gonna be able to produce
More, higher volume.
more chips. Or
Gotcha.
they're not chips. They're. I wish I could remember the name. Anyways,
Yeah.
So we've got all this going on.
Yeah.
We've got this gap of years between when we're going to be able to not be completely reliant on Taiwan. So India's making, like, they spent a lot of money, like, building these plants to be able to start. And I believe they just succeeded in something. I know something isn't satisfying, but that's what I got right now.
They're doing something out there, guys.
But yeah, it's
Well, I think India has I think they have a shot of
They're
becoming
building
a world power.
yeah.
Because you think about it, China actually
With all their scammers, I bet they will.
right. So let's see here. I think so worldwide, I think there's 7 billion people, right? Mm-hmm. And I think America has about 370 million people, roughly. These are kind of old stats in my mind, but I think China has 1.5 billion people, which is wild. And I think India has 1.4. It's darn close to China. Yeah. And Indians are really, really smart individuals, and they have a good work ethic too.
Ancient temples and stuff, they're wild, super wild. But anyways, I could go there. Yeah. But I wanted India is building 3 transistor plants.
Okay.
And I believe they're supposed to be done by 2026.
Okay.
I want to say that's a hypothetical timeline.
Yep.
And I know that there's like a rush, like there's a rush for making these plants and everything, because they're preparing for Taiwan to get taken over.
Right.
So maybe China, knowing this, they're not going to invade Taiwan. Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah.
Or something happens, timelines get. Like, that's why you got to pay attention, especially if you're in the stock market and you're investing in NVIDIA, for instance.
Yeah.
Because NVIDIA is heavily reliant on these other companies. Yeah. And if China takes over Taiwan, guess what happens to the cash flow of NVIDIA? Done.
Right.
Like, they'll probably survive.
Well, unless they learn to work with China. But even if they do, it'll still take a lot of time.
The sanctions. the United States, if because that's not going to happen.
Right.
They're not going to work with like that. It's warfare.
Yeah.
That's a hot battle. Because if China attacks Taiwan, United States is forced to go in because of the fact that all of our weapon systems are reliant on that place.
Unless Joe Biden's like, hey,
Joe Biden
let's
just
not worry
comes up.
about it. Let's not worry about it. It's not that big of a deal, guys. I mean, if you think about it, it really doesn't matter a whole lot.
We just have like thousands of Chinese immigrants that have separate camps, migrant camps, from the other migrants that come from multiple nationalities and stuff like that, and they're just slowly trickling into the United States.
Yeah, that's wild.
No coincidence at all.
Wow. Yeah.
It's like, so here's the thing. Here's the thing about history, and I'm like, you think about present day, and you think about history, and you see what happens, and you put yourself in a situation in history, an event happens, they're like, oh, they should have known.
Right.
They should have freaking known.
Right.
It's like, it's not saying that this is going to happen, but just do this thought experiment. Is this going to happen?
Right.
Why is there separate immigrant, like literally Chinese immigrants in a separate camp, and you got a reporter asking them questions? They're blatantly lying, and they're like arrogant in the way that they're talking.
Was this Paul?
Eric Weinstein.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I listened to that with Tom Bailu. He was talking about that.
He was on multiple podcasts.
Okay.
Trying to tell people.
Let me interrupt this for just a second, and we'll be back. Okay, we'll be back. All right, we're back. Sorry, I had just an insatiable desire to jump in that lake. It looks so good.
Yeah.
So,
no other reason.
Anyways, so where were we?
Yeah. Nvidia, China,
Taiwan.
Taiwan.
Yeah, Taiwan. What's Taiwan?
Taiwan.
If you go to Tijuana, jump over to Taiwan. It's perfect.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I mean, I think Taiwan is definitely. I heard a while back ago that Warren Buffett actually, he actually pulled all his investments out of Taiwan.
Shoot.
Not a good sign for Taiwan.
He's also like one of the most risk-averse investors out there.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Long-term, low risk tolerance.
Yep.
Which has made him billions.
But I feel like that's almost like an investment like thesis and style strategy for those who have already made a ton of money, and not as much for those who are trying to make money. I mean, it's all a balance of risk and reward ratio, right?
Well, I just heard someone, I'm in a trading group on Facebook, and one of the guys like got into Nvidia and said he made 80,000 off of Nvidia.
Oh, really? Wow.
And he said, "Hey, contemplating selling 10,000. Should I, or should I just wait?" And you got people saying, this reminds me of one of the best comments that I saw that I took note of.
Yeah.
It's like, it reminded me of like the I think it was the .com era.
Okay.
Or something.
Yeah, the .com bust.
Yeah, and there's some valid freaking points where they're like, chips aren't going to be in everything. And it's just going to expand. But the thing is the nail in the coffin could be China attacking Taiwan.
Yeah.
For Nvidia. So
right. Yeah.
If it was me and I had that, I would definitely consider selling.
Yeah.
At least whatever amount that I had in, I would probably sell and put it in something else, because it's a high risk. It's a very high risk, and it's very by 2030, I believe that it would something with Taiwan and China
could take place. Yeah.
It'd be
definitely interesting to look at all this again and kind of strategize as far as investments on what you want to do in that part of the world. Go ahead.
I think that like, if it does happen, China does attack Taiwan, and Nvidia's stock price plummets,
you could short it.
You could either short it or buy in.
Right after it's tanked.
Because
it's still a solid company.
You already have the transistors being produced in India, although it's going to take time for it to ramp up.
Right.
I think that's a really good buying opportunity.
Right.
So if you're like, honestly, like that's kind of what I'm thinking is like the price that it's at, Nvidia's at could just, I think it was at like 1,000 per share. Right. Last time I looked,
and it could just totally plummet, and you can get on something really cheap. And then once they switch over to India and American-made transistors, we could be in golden shape. But I think we'll have to wrap this up because I can see my phone dying.
Okay.
Is there anything last you want to say?
Yeah, really quick. Where is it? We'll wrap it up.
We'll try to circle back and talk about this next time. My phone's
about to
gasping,
die.
and it's on its last breath.
Or it's dead.
No, I think it actually is still on, but I think it's
okay. Goodbye.
Goodbye. So I think it's sub 5% now.
Sub 5. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us for 2020. Or I did what you did last time. Thanks for joining us for episode 25.
Yes.
And we'll probably see you guys again in episode 26. So
peace.
Peace out.
Good
guys.
vibes. Good vibes.